went down to the county office, asked them what my address would be out here. They said, anything you like. I guess when you settle in these hills, you'll have to name your own address.
Sure.
The fact that we raised these trees, every one of them, from seed, and hauled every drop of water that was put on them, from the time they were small until the time they are now, maybe some of them are 40 feet high, I guarantee you it makes you feel a lot different towards any of them.
In the early days that we were here, Forrest was a tiny baby. But unlike babies now, she didn't have a water bath every day. One day she had her bath in water, and the next day in some kind of baby oil. And what was left of the rinse water, I took turns around, and each day I put that little bit of water on one of the eucalyptus trees, which was all that kept it alive at all.
bought 10 acres up here right after the war. No road then. No water, of course. Nothing. Ever been downtown? I couldn't live there. I don't know how those people breathe. You know, some people live all their lives without seeing this. All they ever see is sidewalks. Most people don't want to be bothered with animals when they get old and get sick. That old horse joined the family like all the others. Couldn't work anymore, so they didn't want him at his old place.
Needle Scamp is 40 years old now. He was branded in Arizona. He's a cow pony. Well, now, of course, his teeth are not what they should be. Even the spring grass, he finds it hard to eat that, but he can eat lettuce leaves quite easily, and he loves them.
Mary Ann, when she gets an animal, it becomes a member of the family. I don't care what it is, a mouse or anything else. I mean, the guinea pigs and the chinchilla and all of them seem to work right in, and they all have names, of course.
Well, Forrest always puts a baby kitten in with a baby dog in a cage, and puts the two together. And then the adult cats don't chase the birds.
And we have this cat now that whenever it's around a chicken or a pigeon or whatever it is, it'll try to get under the wing of this crazy thing because that's what it did when it was a little baby. And that still goes on. They never forget these things.
Sometimes we get an animal that really responds and obeys beautifully. The longer it stays, the less obedient it is. It takes it no time at all to sink to our level, I guess, and it just thinks it's just a free agent and can do as it pleases all the time.
I never forget one day, she was out on the porch, and she picked up a little hummingbird. It looked like it was completely dead. I mean, there's no life to it whatsoever. And she brought it in, and she had read somewhere where a hummingbird could only live a certain length of time without food, of the terrific energy that it burns. So she got a bottle of warm water and some honey and mixed it up, and she took a drop and started feeding this little thing. And I would have thought it was dead, but it wasn't any time before this pure honey began to affect that hummingbird. And within an hour, that bird flew out of there.
Well, there's an old coyote living up there, old Stony, and I take a dish of dog food up to him every night, and he comes down and gets it. Oh, yeah, someone said that to me, that maybe he was after the chickens. Well, that's why we feed him.
Because I say, I don't think there's any two animals here. Whether you take the goats or the sheep or anything else, they don't seem to, any of them have the same personality. I mean, they all, people they call them the dumb animals, but actually they have personalities completely different, every one of them. And they all give you a feeling that all minds are connected somewhere. The way these animals act, because they figure as though although they're not talking to you, they know you're going to understand some way.
When Horace was small, I used to read to her a lot, and one of her favorites was a poem that had the lines, "This was the world and I was king. For me the birds came out to sing, for me the flowers grew." And it was seemed so much a part of her life that she thought I wrote it, especially for her. And when she went to school, she had a big argument with the teacher who told her that Robert Louis Stevenson wrote it. In those days, Colonel was very handsome. Well, I still think he is. He was working in motion pictures.
And I figured out roughly that altogether it had been around 500 pictures that I'd worked in the length of time I was in the studios, as a stand-in and extra and stuntman and doing bits. But the one that I enjoyed most of all was the work that we did on Gone with the Wind, where we all had lines to say, and it was terrific.
I'm getting excited.
The basic feeling of life, as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that you own a piece of land. And this 10 acres that I have, the land had never been broken with a plow or anything when I moved on it. It had been used for grazing only. If the time ever comes when all of this district along here is built over into small houses and apartments and things, the things that I'll remember most is being able to walk out and look out across the country and seeing one house and 250 square miles of ocean out in front of you. It seems strange to realize that the city of Los Angeles, with all its 7 million people, is just about 10 miles over the hill. We can only hope that we can keep away from the city as long as possible. I mean, of course, there's plans now for a freeway up the coast here by Malibu, and that will be up on the hill a little ways back of us. I imagine the freedom and the type of life that we want to live will be pushed around a little when that happens. 8 lanes, cars and trucks, 100 yards from the house. The people here in Malibu now are newcomers, most of them, and they want to do nothing but develop. Develop, that's all you hear from them. In 20 years, it'll be a pleasure to see this picture and have it, to realize that this is what the place used to look like and what the real country was here. By that time, it'll be so developed it won't look anything like this at all.
I don't know what I would call this place a haven for animals, because the animals give so much joy that they have more than paid for being here and the little bit of food they eat. let's see, we have quite a lot of animals. We have, I suppose about...
I wouldn't have any idea how many are there. It'd be almost impossible to judge it. But whatever comes there never leaves, I'll guarantee you.
I don't know exactly how people find out that we like animals and would be willing to give them a home. I think there must be a grapevine.
Seems like every human in the county give their kid a chick or baby duck for Easter. There should be a law against it. In about 2 months, we call up and say, I've got a big stupid duck here. Can you take it off my hands? Car drove up and this woman got out with this duck in her arms, and in they came, and she said, I understand you like to take pets and things, and they introduced themselves, and she was down Santa Monica someplace. She said, I have a duck that is different from anything in the world you have. Said it won't even take a bath. But anyway, she demonstrated, and this duck was the weirdest thing you ever saw. She'll get just filthy and never get in the water.
People bring animals here, I think they are mostly relieved to find a place for them so that they can tell their children the animal is going to be all right. Now, I don't know any one of my acquaintance who would like to live here, just as I do, because they nearly always say to me, how can you stand this place? But I can stand it easy.
Been here longer than any other place in the world, even my own home back in Virginia. And for instance, in Virginia, when you own a piece of land, you own it from generation to generation to generation. That's the way we'd like to be able to do with this. I don't know how it's going to work out, whether Forrest will want to continue on with it or not.
When she was little, I was telling Forrest about giving things to poor children at Christmas time. And she said that she would do a poor child she'd like to help. And of course, in those days, we were awfully poor ourselves. But I said, who? And she said, Melanie. Now, Melanie was a little girl she went to dancing school with, Deborah Carr's little daughter. And she lived in a mansion in Pacific Palisades. And I said, what makes you think Melanie is poor? And she said, because her house is so little on the outside. And Forrest thought we were rich because where we live was big on the outside.
We had a bunch of young children here, too, after the war. Fathers were still in the service. Mothers couldn't get an apartment except kids.
Most of them loved it. They just wanted to get out and just be free. There wasn't a tree. The trees were just little tiny things. They looked like little bushes. And I remember once a lady came up from the child welfare, and she said she was so afraid the children might wander off. And she asked one of the children, "You'd never run away, would you?" The child said, "No, we can see everything from here."